anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Safe Schools powerful documentary highlights South Florida LGBTQ+ youth stories, exploring identity and acceptance, earning an Emmy nomination.
On Coming Out Day, Zoran Mamdani reaffirmed LGBTQ rights even after facing criticism over Uganda ties. He pledged to make New York inclusive.
MLB introduces the Billy Bean Fellowship, an 18-month program empowering LGBTQ+ professionals to join baseball's operations and leadership ranks.
Arlington becomes first city in America to consider removing LGBTQ+ protections under federal pressure, threatening $65 million in grants, sparking backlash from local advocates.
Leaked messages reveal young Republican leaders' racist, homophobic, pro-Hitler remarks, exposing deep hypocrisy behind the party's family values image. The words are going to shock you. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. In 2025, our queer stories have reached 11 million streaming views, and Queer News Tonight has been the most watched LGBTQ+ news and lifestyle show in the world this year.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the LGBTQ community. There is no other news program in the LGBT world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Wednesday, October 15th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we'll tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Happening Out is one of the world's largest LGBTQ+ non-profit media companies in America and the world, in the same model as PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community.
We support the 11 pillars of the LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate on the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture.
Our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience. Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 11,000 LGBTQ streaming stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fête, our nonprofit 501c3 magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2025, more than 100 community leaders will host this show to support the LGBTQ+ community. Let's meet today's anchors at Queer News Tonight. You know, I don't recognize this next anchor. I feel like I know him from somewhere.
He's been missing.
He has been missing. Let's welcome back to the table the incredible friend that is Glen Weinzimer. He has been a South Florida advocate for over 30 years, raising awareness and more than $16 million. That's million. Okay, for the HIV/AIDS community for 20 plus years. He's also a travel director and corporate events planner. Glen, the Joyride 2025 rolls from Orlando to St. Pete on November 21st. Tell me what's happening out.
Thanks for asking. It's great to be back as always. I've missed this platform. Florida's successful cycling fundraiser is shaking things up in 2025. Get ready for an exciting new adventure on November 21st through 22nd. Cyclists from all over the state and even the country will be pedaling a 2-day, 165-mile journey from its new location, Orlando to St. Petersburg. This marks a fresh start in the fight against HIV/AIDS, building on the success of the Smart Ride, which journeyed from Miami to Key West for 2 decades. The Joyride is organized by Fab Adventures, Inc. In its second year, the ride will kick off with a 100-mile trek from Orlando to Lutsk on day 1, followed by 65 beautiful miles into downtown St. Petersburg on day 2. All the money raised by the participants will go to the agencies Broward House in Fort Lauderdale, Compass in West Palm Beach, Empath Partners in Care in the St. Petersburg area, Miracle of Love in Orlando, and Pride Lines in Miami. They've got an amazing volunteer crew to support all the cyclists along with fueling stations packed with food and snacks along the way. So get ready for the Joyride 2025 to continue its legacy of community compassion and connection across Florida. You can find more information and join at thejoyridefl.org. This is very personal, obviously, to me because I started the ride, the original ride, the Smart Ride, 22 years ago. Wow. And so, when we stopped the Smart Ride 2 years ago, the agencies jumped in and started their own event called the Joyride, and they're following the same mission and everything to make a difference. I think this year is extremely important with everything happening politically in our world. Bringing people together under one umbrella is powerful. So many people feel alone or lost and they don't know what they can do to contribute. They don't know how to move forward. When you take 500 to 700 people and you put them in a room and they see there are other people just like them, it empowers you. I think it's great that they're leaving from Orlando, right after this recent attacks on Pulse and the sidewalks and the rainbows coming down. Yep. I think, that's all so powerful. And, we look across the world with AMFAR being defunded to some degree, with USAID being defunded. The Ryan White Foundation's funding is in question, and what local organizations are having trouble getting money. Do we look back now and say, are we going to repeat what happened in the early 80s? Because if the funding's not there and the medications aren't there for people to take PrEP, and the like, where do we end up? Governments in South Africa and stuff, it's the richer people in South Africa, it's the politicians that are getting sick. It has nothing to do with being gay in that case. And so you destabilize these countries, and then who comes in to step in after they fall? So, the U.S. has got to be really careful right now about what we do and where we pull our funding from, because we can not only have a crisis again here, but we can have a crisis across the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I'm a huge lover of the Smart Ride. When you were a part of it, I was able to be a cheerleader, right, at a lot of the stops, because I wasn't going to ride a bike, right?
There was no question. You didn't even have to say it.
I know, you knew it. You're like, you're going to cheer, aren't you?
Did they make bike heels? I mean, bike heels.
Oh, bike heels. Well, hey, somebody should get on that.
They have. In California on the ride, there was a there was a man that rode with 6-inch heels, and he had clips on the bottom of them. It was a chunky heel. So he was able to clip in and ride on Red Dress Day in a
like a wedge,
and he probably looked real sexy.
He did. His ankles were phenomenal.
Let's talk about it's a new route this year, right? I mean, but it's a beautiful route. St. Pete is just so beautiful, and the sunsets are like remarkable. Yeah. So I mean, I know is it less bumpy than the last trek that we had going down to Key West? What's better about it? It's different than the ride to Key West. First of all, the ride to Key West happened 21 times. So already, how many people want to keep making the same thing? They've made that challenge. They beat that challenge. But it's been interesting because a lot of people were aging out of the Smart Ride, and some of them have chosen to get back involved this year because it is a new route and it's brand new. And the routes and the foliage and stuff is completely different the further north you go. So the route leaving Orlando, once you get out of the city proper, gets really nice and very country, and there's some wonderful paths up that way, and it'll take them into St. Pete. So I think it's a good way to revitalize and re-energize, I guess is the right word. And I think would be really cool, I talked to them about it, is getting the Bright Line, which starts in Miami. Those who are riding from Key West can get to Miami. Then the riders of Miami can join them on a car or two on Bright Line, and then they make the stops in all of the cities where there's an agency and ride it all the way up to Orlando as a group and sort of, begin the fun and the connections.
And one of the other great things about going more north for that is it's engaging other communities, and it's engaging more directly with some of the other organizations. But still,
absolutely.
Although there's one, Orlando, the Miracle one.
Miracle of Love, and then St. Pete. But
so that's really great for that.
Yeah, well, because sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm so sorry, Glenn. And are all these organizations that will benefit from the Joyride, are they all the same organizations that have been part of it before? Because I mean, we love Compass here at Queer News Tonight. We adore Broward House, of course. Empath Partners. I mean, those folks, they make make
They're amazing.
miracles.
Her name is Joy, ironically, as if they named it after her. And she's like, I told them not to name it the Joy Ride. And I was like, all right, well, you lost that battle.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and there is a way to still support. We can still donate if
Absolutely.
we can't go on the ride.
Right. You can still donate. Make, if you go to their website, Joyride
yeah.
FL
Yep.
or the Joyride FL, you'll be able to make a donation to a specific person or just in general to the organization.
The teams that ride like
Right. And there's a lot of teams coming out of South Florida. But back to your point about being in the north, the nice part about that too is there are a lot of organizations that are underfunded in the northern part of the state that we could never reach out to just because of distance. They couldn't come down to be a full-fledged participating agency. But as they move forward now, if they look to join other agencies, there's lots that's happening in a very Republican part of our state where funding's even harder to get in minority communities. So you have a larger black presence and stuff up in that area, and their churches are preaching, the abstinence, and they're not really doing the education. So here's an opportunity to raise awareness in a part of the state that doesn't normally see it.
Perfect.
Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you all at the Joyride 2025 on November 21st through 22nd. Next up, let's welcome my big brother, Dale Stine. He's a celebrated photographer in the LGBTQ plus community. He is also the director of music ministry at the famous Unity on the Bay. He's also the moderator of Miami Gay List. Welcome back to the table, Dale.
It's great to be back at the table, sis.
I'm so
Love
excited.
you so much.
You know I love you.
And I'm super excited to be seeing you tomorrow night for what? The Flockfest fashion show. It's going to be off the chain. I'm super excited because the one and only Faye is hosting, emceeing, along with Athena Dion. Yes, Athena Dion. And who is going to be there? Utica from Drag Race fame and also recently from Project Runway fame, if you happen to watch that show as well.
Oh my God. So I went to the fitting last night, Dale.
Yeah. How was it?
I got to meet Ethan Munt. I got to meet Utica in person, and he's nice enough that he brought an extra garment for me to wear to host.
I love
that. I didn't tell him, you better not show up in South Florida without something for me.
Right.
I might have said that, right? But he found something for me to wear, and
that's so awesome.
It's going to be beautiful. His line is amazing.
Yeah.
If you are a fan of Utica, you're going to see some of the pieces that he's worn and some of the pieces that he actually did for Project Runway.
They were amazing.
On the runway at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino tomorrow night.
And speaking of amazing artists, patting myself on the back, Kevin Clevenger of Flockfest events. And Kevin, of course, is a friend of the show. As an anchor, yes.
Yeah,
of course.
He's been here.
Haven't been in a long time. But he reached out to me and asked me to donate a piece of art, and I did, and you can see that right there. It's the silent auction. It's very different from what people know that I do, because people know me doing, as you know, headshots, portraiture, whatever, different things. And this is a photo merge, and actually the base photo is one of the Miami Marine Stadium, when you could still get in there, which you cannot really do now. And there was still graffiti everywhere, and it was amazing and dangerous to be in there because there was glass everywhere also. And this piece is then two other photos on top of it, so it's photo merged. There's Muganvia there, and there's something else, I can't remember what. And then I put it in Photoshop and just manipulate the F out of it. And then it ends up being this kind of beautiful thing. Anyway, so Kevin tells me there are already bids on it, so I'm super excited about that.
They've already started silent auction bidding, so if you are interested, head on over to flockfestevents.org and start bidding. Like, it's true, Dale isn't known for this kind of stuff. He's known for photography and, incredible pictures and photographs, but to see this, that's
and
also like a lifelike painting.
It looks like a painting because it's on canvas, so it looks like a painting. It's 24 by 36, but the event's going to be fabulous. It's good. I mean, I saw the social media with the runway. I saw Utica walking on the runway.
Yes!
That's going to be super cool, right?
Yes, it's going to be incredible. So we look forward to seeing you all at the Flockfest fashion show tomorrow night at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Let's welcome to the table Kevin Lee. He's a 3-time #1 best-selling author, transformational speaker, and intuitive life coach. This native Texan is on a mission to help you find life purpose, spiritual fulfillment, and true happiness. Welcome, Kevin, to the table. How you been?
Thanks, Faye. Good to see you. It's been a little bit.
Yes.
You know what I like is just being able to come here and support and serve on this panel, but make sure that our community gets to shine a little bit, because in these times of hate and everybody trying to dim our light, I'm just grateful to be here to be able to serve our viewers and people like you all. So
I love that. Kevin, any of your clients that you help that are maybe going through a real tough time with just the environment that we're in right now, if you've got to tell them one thing to focus on, what would it be?
You know what it'd be is to look in the mirror and say, I love you. That's really the most important thing, because like Michael Jackson said, you know, look at the man in the mirror. But one of the most important things I found is if we can look in the mirror and we can say, I love you every day. It's awkward. It's weird as hell. But I'm telling you, within about a week or two, there's something changes, and you get used to that vibration. You get used to hearing somebody pouring into you, and guess who that is? Somebody beautiful in the mirror. I love that.
I love that. I love that. Dale, you want to continue?
Yes. And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, FayWhat. She is a legendary events host, television and radio personality, and the host of Hotspots Happening Out's The FayWhat Show. Faye, let's start the show, okay?
Yes, baby. Let's start Queer News Tonight. Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Safe School South Florida's Open Dialogue's QueerZ nominated for Emmy Award. A documentary amplifying the voices of LGBTQ plus youth in South Florida has been nominated for a Suncoast Regional Emmy Award. Open Dialogue's QueerZ captures the lived experiences of 8 LGBTQ plus students from Gen Z, exploring what it means to grow up and come out in a changing world. Produced by the Art and Culture Center Hollywood under the direction of Freddie Rodriguez, the film was created in association with Safe Schools South Florida, an advocacy nonprofit for LGBTQ students and educators. The film, part of the Open Dialogue series' 4th installment, features young adults navigating identity, family, and allyship. It also includes original poetry performances by Eric Martinez and Jana Nelson. Martinez developed his poem with Professor Richard Blanco, a National Humanities Medal recipient honored at the White House. The project was funded by the R Fund Foundation, the Winhover Foundation, Kadraki family, and the Dara and Jarrett Levin Fund for the Arts at the Community Foundation of Broward. The Emmy ceremony takes place on December 6th at the Diplomat Beach Resort in Hollywood, and we couldn't be happier. You know, as someone who covers our community daily, I can tell you that this is how change happens. You know, Open Dialogues, QueerZ gives young LGBTQ voices the mic, not just a mention, how we do in some stories, you know. And when it comes to Scott Galvin, he's just amazing. An incredible soul. Like this man, I live in North Miami, and he was the longest running.
And one of the first, if I'm not mistaken.
One of the first openly gay folks to run for, you know, for a seat and win. And in a very Black and Latino area, and he still came.
Super gringo.
He's super gringo, but totally, you know, and I bet it took him a lot to break through to those folks, but he did, you know. So the fact that
they stayed with him.
And so much so that there's a whole center named after him now.
Well, that too. So him being at the center of this, you know, doesn't surprise me, right? He is always screaming and amplifying the voices of queer kids. So the fact that they're getting an Emmy nod, I mean, this is amazing. This is major.
Especially at a time like this. It's great to see that recognition and them rising to the top about an LGBTQ story, about youth, which you'd think they might be a little bit fearful in this day and age of coming out like they are and being so open and real and honest and true to themselves. Safe Schools is amazing. They do great work. We used to support them when I had the restaurant on Monday nights. They're just good people, and you know how they've stood up for our youth and our communities, you know, in a time where, forgetting the current administration, just our state itself and our governor and some of the things that we've gone through in the last couple of years between banning books and Don't Say Gay and all these things that affect the mental health of kids, where the schools could no longer provide those support tools without outing their children. Safe Schools is able to step in and bring that therapy and bring that awareness and safety and a safe place to be. So I think it's great.
Well, and during Don't Say Gay, like at the height of that, they were up at Tallahassee, like every other week, like taking these kids
with
on buses, heading up there, protesting, doing the work. It was knocking on doors and hitting the pavement, and they were all over it, and none of them could vote.
No. But they were able to jump in, and you know, kudos to all of them and the people that motivate them, because in a time where people are stepping back, they were stepping forward. And so it's a great organization. I'm so happy for their Emmy. It's awesome.
How cool is that if they win? I hope when they win. When they win. How cool is it when they win to go, look, we're bringing an Emmy back to South Florida? Like, how dope is that? I want Scott, put that on your desk. That's where it deserves to be.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Dale Stine, and let's queer up the USA View. Under fire over Uganda ties, Mamdani leans into LGBTQ advocacy. On National Coming Out Day, Democratic mayoral candidate Zoran Mamdani used the moment to spotlight LGBTQ rights and to address criticism over his ties to a Ugandan official behind anti-gay laws. In a new campaign video, Mamdani declared, quote, "New York will not sit idly by while trans people are attacked," end quote. Speaking at a spirited Gays for Zoran rally in Greenwich Village, he urged, quote, "We have to stand up for queer New Yorkers every single day," end quote.
I'm on the Christopher Street Pier, or as it was called in Sylvia Rivera's day, the Christopher Street Docks. In the 1970s, homeless queer New Yorkers had been pushed to the margins of a hostile society. But it was here, on the physical margins of our city, that they found a home. Sylvia was one of those New Yorkers. She arrived here at the age of 11, where she immediately landed in the center of the gay rights movement. She befriended the legendary Marsha P. Johnson, protested at Stonewall, and led marches for equality. But even among the queer community, trans New Yorkers were excluded. Rivera and others were discouraged from walking in pride, their participation erased from Stonewall history.
I believe in us getting our rights, or else I would not be out there fighting for our rights.
This cruelty took a toll. Rivera developed a substance abuse problem and was often homeless. When she had nowhere left to turn, she would sleep here, waves lapping nearby. Yet no matter what hardships she faced, Sylvia Rivera advocated for others. She and Johnson founded STAR to house and feed trans kids. The Christopher Street Pier is like our city, a place of immense contradictions. It's where outsiders found belonging, and it's also where Marsha P. Johnson's body was found, the victim of a suspected murder no one was ever prosecuted for. But even amidst this, we can chart a clear path forward that makes our city inclusive. Since taking office, Donald Trump has waged a scorched earth campaign against trans people. The man with the most power has expended enormous energy targeting those with the least. New York will not sit idly by while trans people are attacked. We'll deploy hundreds of lawyers to combat Trump's hate, make New York City an LGBTQIA+ sanctuary city, and create the Office of LGBTQIA+ Affairs to allocate millions for youth and adult housing programs, as well as gender-affirming care. We can't bring Sylvia back, but we can honor her memory by building a city where trans New Yorkers are cherished. In a time of darkness, New York must be the light.
But the day also brought renewed questions about a July photo showing Mamdani alongside Ugandan politician Rebecca Kadaga, who has championed draconian anti-LGBTQ legislation. Mamdani told reporters, quote, "Had I known that she was the architect of this horrific legislation and attack on queer Ugandans, I would not have taken it," end quote. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo dismissed that explanation, saying, quote, "The LGBTQ community should not excuse that lie. You cannot be a chameleon where you're in the United States, you're pro-LGBT rights, but when you're in Uganda, you stand and smile with the woman who proposed killing gay people," end quote. Still, Mamdani vowed to make New York an LGBTQ sanctuary city, create an office for LGBTQ affairs, and condemned Uganda's record, saying, quote, "It's a horrific record, a complete betrayal of universal human rights," end quote. This week, President Trump had a vague threat aimed at New York City, saying if a socialist is elected, it could affect tens of billions of dollars of federal money. Wow, this story is very complicated. I mean, it has so many layers.
Peel the onion.
I'm
Peel.
like, okay, because, you know, I mean, we've all been following the Mamdani rise to prominence. And, you know, having lived in the city for 21 years myself, I still, well, no matter how long I live here, I will always feel like I'm a New Yorker. So I'm always feel very connected to it. And I really love what he's giving. I'm not, you know, there may be pros and cons. I'm sure there are, as there are with every politician. But I love what he's bringing, the awareness that he's bringing.
Yeah.
And I think this campaign video that we just watched was beautiful and amazing, even though the desk was quite large in the park.
We had to say something good,
I mean, you know,
of course.
but wow, to bring these icons, these heroes, these true legends of our community into the light, and especially when there's so many people in our community who don't know about them, and who are disrespectful of the entire trans community. So there's just so many layers and so many topics. And this Ugandan thing, about which the story is really based, right? I mean, it does seem kind of hard to believe, I'm just being honest, that he wouldn't be aware of this? Because, you know, when you're running for office, you are really
Hypersensitive?
hypersensitive. You know, you don't even have a cocktail in your hand. You're like, make sure you find your cocktail.
Yeah, but not always, because when you're running for something, you're
and
also
you miss.
shaking the hands and kissing the babies
So it's a
of
miss.
countless people.
And
How
it's
many
hard,
pictures
yeah.
do you take sometimes, Dale?
Well, I'm not
With
running for office. I'm not running for
No,
office.
my love.
No,
I'm
but-
saying, like, you will take a picture with an unknown person.
Oh, it
right?
happens
All of a sudden, you'll be in
yeah,
it,
the
like,
photographer
you know what I
like throws somebody in there.
Like,
I'm like, I don't know this
yeah,
person.
no, it's happened.
And then later, like,
You know
I'm
what I
like,
mean?
oh my God, that was like somebody.
You know,
else.
Lady Bunny was running around, and I was like, oh hell no, I'm not taking a picture with you. And every photographer was like, Faye, can you take a picture with Lady Bunny? And I go, I have to go to the bathroom.
So it's probably.
You understand?
So it's probably he
it
was
can
there, and it just
happen.
absolutely. I agree.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
it's absolutely true.
But but also you also have to be a
Better,
little
like-
more careful. You know
yeah,
what I mean? You know, the video was beautiful. The fact that yes, maybe a lot of people don't know about our trailblazing sister that was fighting for us years
yeah.
ago, Sylvia Rivera. So I love that she was the focal point of the story
Mark
and
Johnson,
of
yeah.
the video. And when he was talking about her, I looked over to Dale and I go, and she died in those same piers, right? Because that's our history, and our history is being erased at every turn. So this makes this video even smarter for him, right? And even more important, right? First of all, Andrew Cuomo, shut the hell up.
All right, bye.
All right, with all the things that you've done against women, and you're talking shit. I mean, I'm surprised there's not an Epstein picture of you, my friend. So I
I'm
mean,
sure there is.
I'm en favor. Like, come on, but I loved what Mamdani was saying. I'm gonna have hundreds of lawyers ready to fight against these anti-trans things. Yes, let's do that. We're gonna have a DEI office right here in New York. Yes. I'm from New York as well, and New York is one of those places that you never are not a New Yorker. Once you live there,
Right.
you're a New Yorker for life,
Right.
and you're called back to it. So to hear somebody say that New York isn't inclusive breaks my heart, because it's gone through so many cycles through the
many cycles.
decades.
Oh my God.
And here we are.
Wow.
And would this story have ever seen the light of day had he not be as successful as he is right now running for the campaign? Had he not risen to the top to cause fear on the other side, would this never have shown up? And back to the point of, like, we all take pictures with people.
Yeah.
You don't know who you're always with, and then suddenly you're attached to them. You're right. Like, should he have known? Maybe, but I don't know the interaction, how long it lasted, his purpose of being there. Like,
And then we don't know how his handlers may not have realized.
Correct, and maybe he didn't have any handlers. Like, I don't know his tie to his personal tie to Uganda.
Yeah.
But I think it's courageous that he's gone to the trouble of doing the research and putting a lot of response. He could have easily said, I didn't know that, and moved on.
Like the
I
person
didn't
in the
realize
White
she
House.
was right, exactly.
I don't know who that
I
is.
never
Never
met
said
them. I was just a photo, but he didn't do that. He actually
owned
went
it.
and
He
owned it, and he got out there in public into New York and made a video that if he doesn't stand behind after he's elected, he's done in. You know what I mean?
Right.
And look, they're coming off of a corrupt mayor to begin with. So him entering the field, I think, is a great thing. And I think that, like you said, Cuomo has no room to speak. With his background, he should just shut the F up, because leave it, this guy's being successful. I'm a New Yorker as well. And it doesn't leave you. Like, you definitely defend it, because it's a state that does, and a city that does hold.
It's a
melding pot.
Yeah.
And it's a melting pot, not melding. It's a melting pot from around the world.
Yeah.
If you live there, you've lived, like, basically everywhere. You can have any kind of food you want. It's not a place that, you have to defend it.
And what is it? If you could make it there, you can make it anywhere. And that's how it is. And so many queer kids would run to the Village, run to New York City as their safe space. Me, one of them, running from New Jersey over there, you know? And to see how it slowly evolved into not being gay anymore, right? And that little spot,
and not affordable at all.
No,
for
and that little spot,
person.
Stonewall is protected, but everything around it, right, is like, okay, $24 for a bottle of water, right? He's trying. Right? I mean,
And that's where you got to give him credit, because he is trying.
Not easy.
I give him a couple of extra stars because I've never seen that video before. I didn't know that much about him. And I will say this, being a native Texan, but actually was smart and actually took a little 6-year jaunt to New York City, lived in New York City, and then came down to Florida. But I get what you're saying about the fact that a city official is trying really hard to connect with the gay community, the trans community, the queer community, willing to speak about and bring back up to the forefront in the light the gay culture, our history, the traumas in our history, because they are irrelevant. We're speaking about Gen Z nowadays, and they may not remember what we went through 50, 60 years ago. So I really give him a couple of stars. I have to take one of those away, because that picture, I think that's a little odd to me, that he didn't have a handler, or he didn't have somebody that was willing to just kind of give him a heads up. If you're that big in the city scene, you should know who you're going to be standing and talking with. And so I have to take 1 star away, but I still like what I saw.
So how many stars did you end up with? You gave him
I gave him 2, took away 1, so he's got 1 star. Okay. And he's on his way up, I think. I like him.
Yeah.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Kevin Lee, and let's queer up sports. MLB honors Billy Beane with new fellowship to bring LGBTQ plus opportunity into baseball leadership. Major League Baseball is taking a historic step toward inclusion with the launch of the Billy Beane Fellowship, an 18-month program designed to bring professionals into baseball's front offices. The fellowship is seeking applicants who may, quote, who may not have been identified by clubs through traditional recruiting avenues, end quote. Named after the late Billy Beane, the fellowship gives early career talent hands-on experience in baseball operations, from analytics and player development to research and software engineering at either an MLB club or the league office. Beane, who passed away in 2024, was a trailblazer, a former major leaguer who came out formally as gay in 1999 and later became MLB's senior vice president for diversity, equity, and inclusion. His work, from anti-bullying education to supporting Spirit Day, reshaped how baseball talks about belonging. Applications are open through November 3rd, 2025. MLB says the program continue Beane's legacy, helping ensure that the people shaping the future of baseball reflects the diversity of its players and fans. For LGBTQ plus professionals, this could be the most meaningful pitch yet. This is really interesting because, one, I was never into sports, and yet this story, to me, I found interesting because if he formally came out in 1999, that would have been about 25, 26 years ago, which is right around the Gen Z era, right, when they'd be being born. So because this man chose to rise up and to come out and to shine in a very homophobic industry, sports industry, right? And at a time when it wasn't in media, coming out wasn't really a bonus. You didn't get stars for that.
No, that's the opposite.
Right. I mean, you could really be destroy a career.
Truly, truly. And so the fact that he was willing to stand up and come out, there are 20-somethings out there in the sports world that recognized him back then. So they're out there celebrating, they're living out. That's the Gen Z era, right? And so it's funny how this keeps coming up, but it just goes to show how important the topic is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a grand slam. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Correct, right?
We're not at Denny's, though.
We're not at Denny's.
That's
No,
where
not
I know
that kind
it
of
from.
grand slam. No pancakes,
thank
right? I love this. Okay, let me give you just a little small synopsis, right? I have lots of friends who are singers and dancers and stuff like that, right? And I have told many that have tried and struggled for years and years and years trying to get that career, right? To find another element of that career and get into it. Become an agent, become a director, write music, right? Because there's only a certain amount of places in this world for stars, for Taylor Swift, etc. Right? MLB, same thing. If you are a player, right, and you maybe didn't make it to the big leagues, right, this is a great way to still be part of something that you love. And the reality is that a lot of people make more money being a manager or an agent or something like that, or knowing, learning your ways around that league. I love that. I love that.
And you don't age out. As a sports player, you age out.
You definitely
Here you've got a way to do what you love if you want to actually get into the sport, and then you can continue on. Those who have been most successful that you see, are broadcasters. You know what I mean? Like
great.
And this is such a beautiful way to carry, because some of the photos that were flashing on the screen, I took of Billy in the
what a handsome
like 15
man,
years ago,
Dale.
when he was in real estate and something. So anyway, but you knew Billy from before.
When I worked in Coral Gables, he and his partner at the time, so this would have been earlier in the 90s, opened a restaurant in Coral Gables, which was known as like capital of food for restaurants in South Florida at the time. So I got to meet him a couple times and go to the restaurant stuff. He was a gentleman and he was so easy on the eyes.
And he was such a sweetheart, such a gentle spirit and a gentle soul.
He was.
And photographing him, he was just so, It was just
Easy?
so trying. I had met him through friends. That's how I got the gig.
Did you do nudes or just straight on?
I
I need to know.
Did you really
No,
have
I
to
did
ask
not.
that?
I did, just because that's me.
But it's
Look, he was
it's a great way to carry on his legacy, and he was. I mean, I'm sure he's smiling from wherever he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
He was, he was a trailblazer for anti-bullying, right? In a
Yes.
time where that wasn't even on people's radar,
Exactly.
right? You know? So I love that MLB is doing this. Think about it, right? Like asking for queer people to sign up without asking queer people to sign up, right? Like literally just saying, hey, it's Billy Bean. You remember him?
Right.
You know, like please, like, so apply, folks, okay? You have till next month, I believe, to apply. What a great opportunity. I mean, it's over a 1.5 year long fellowship.
And
with
a great
the MLB.
legacy. And a legacy that he brought forward. I mean, what a way to be remembered after everything. He didn't just, shoot everything he had while he was alive. He set up a way that people can still be helped after the fact.
Yeah.
What a legacy.
And such an unexpectedly short life. It was a very, very tough but very short illness. So,
Yes.
yeah.
It's still having an impact.
Yeah.
Well, if
All we
you
can
are part of Billy Bean's family, we are here to tell you thank you for all that you did and all that you've done, and know that your man's legacy is living on forever. And I, for one, just will say, hey, who's your favorite baseball player? You know that Billy Bean? That was my favorite baseball player. That's from a lesbian, all right? Well,
Go Tigers. Go Dodgers.
Go Tigers or Dodgers. Also, wait, didn't
Tigers
he also
are
play,
Padres.
didn't he also play like for New York or something?
Well, he played for the Detroit Tigers, Los Angeles, but Dodgers, San Diego Padres. But then he was also, when he was doing maybe it was when he was doing the management, something that was,
See, management.
See?
See?
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Glen Weinzimer, and let's crew up this USA view. It's here. This Texas city could be America's first to repeal LGBTQ anti-discrimination protections. A Texas city could soon make history, but not in a way queer advocates hoped. The Arlington City Council voted Tuesday evening on a revised ordinance that would remove gender identity and expression, as well as sexual orientation, as protected characteristics under local anti-discrimination law. What did they decide? The council voted to delay the vote until November 18th. The proposed ordinance change follows fiscal threats from Donald Trump's administration. Federal officials reportedly warned the city it could lose $65 million in grants unless it stripped diversity, equity, and inclusion language from its code. Arlington's current ordinance bans any direct or indirect exclusion, distinction, segregation, limitation, refusal, denial, or other differentiation in the treatment of a person or persons because of race, color, national origin, age, religion, sex, disability, sexual orientation, or gender identity. If approved, Arlington would become the first U.S. city to repeal such protections, echoing Iowa's move in February when the state removed gender identity from its Civil Rights Act. Local advocates are urging resistance. Arlington Pride said, quote, "We won't go backwards," end quote, calling residents to attend this council meeting and speak out. This is just the tip of the iceberg. It's very scary. Iowa is trying to do something like this. If this door gets opened, it allows other states by precedent to be able to do it if they were to lose in a court case.
Yep.
Because it's obviously going to have to go to the Supreme Court because it's got all the makings of discrimination. And them taking away all those rights and protections from all those people rewrites the map for elections. It rewrites everything. It's very scary. It's no different than the plan. And it's very much like the plan in the, was it Plan
2025.
2025 Project
Right.
2025.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just another one of those things where you slowly strip away the rights of groups, and suddenly they lose their voice.
And it's just mind-boggling. It's so disturbing and so upsetting, and it feels so. What's the word? I mean, you just feel so
Disturbing.
beyond. You
Surreal.
feel like you're just. It's almost like it wears you down so much you just want to give up.
Right.
Because, what's
Yeah.
that word? There's a word for that.
Exhaustion, frustration, we can continue.
Because what are all these people who are voting in this or trying to bring these things to fruition? They have gay kids, they have gay brothers and sisters and friends and family. So what? I mean, I can't even understand. And this is such a huge topic.
Yeah.
What are they getting from this? I mean, I don't even.
A white
religion,
society.
It's,
But
it's
that's
religious.
done. That's never happening. There's never the white society is done.
How about religion?
I mean, it's
When
done because people are so. It's it's already the trains already left the station. I mean, everybody's mixed. I mean, almost everybody I know now who's a younger person is mixed. You know, and religion, I guess that they're still trying to bring the white nationalism, which is the white supremacy, and
Yeah.
Well, you have to understand the climate. Being from Texas, I dealt with this my whole life. And what I do notice in this story is that this situation is very common. It touches into politics. It is politics. It touches into voting. And are we getting out there as a community and voting? Do you even know who is in your city council? Arlington, the gay community in Arlington needs to be stepping up and stepping out, making sure they're voting for the right people, because this is exactly what happens when you don't get out and when you choose not to vote, because I know people that choose not to vote. And but I also say that the concept of religious and political influence is incredibly strong in Texas. The preacher will get on the platform, and they will alert the congregation who they will be voting for, which they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
They will do that, and
while not paying taxes.
Yes, while not paying taxes. And I guarantee, and I know this because a lot of those different religions in Texas and even across the South, they all vote the way the preacher votes, the way the elders vote. And it's just incredibly disturbing to me. And it just reminds me, I had to say I'm from Texas with this story, but I'm not going to use that word.
Use it, Kevin, use it.
What trumps what I just said is you got to get the hell out of your chair and go vote, because this is why we have this problem.
Exactly.
And it's just not fair to people.
You know, we've done stories like this for the last couple of years, and it's always Texas or Florida leading the way. So thank you, Kevin. It's both our states in this. You know what I mean? And
leading the way in a not
leading
good
the
way.
way in a not good way, right? Arlington delaying its vote is not a victory. Just understand that, right? It's a warning. Okay, so federal threats over DEI funding are being used to erase equality. We all know that. So queer Texans deserve better, and we can't go back. So our voices must show up loud on November 18th, like Kevin said, and know who it is that you're voting for and who is representing you. You know, and people really have a tough time in both our states separating church and state. They just do, you know, and even if they thought in their mind, I'm going to vote for this person, if the person at the pulpit says otherwise, they're going to change their mind just because he said so.
Because a lot of education is restricting what they know. So if people were informed, they would be able to speak up and understand what they're voting for. Instead, they're relying on the church and whoever the preacher happens to be to tell them what the truth is.
Exactly.
And you've got to do your own research.
It's indoctrination going on from a young age.
Right. So unless you have the freedom to be able to look on the internet, that you have the freedom to be able to get out and talk to other people, if you've got the freedom to not listen to just the church and not be preached to, you have a better chance of success. But as long as people remain basically deaf and dumb and blind and ignorant as a result of what the church or any organized religion or group, you know, how do they come up above that?
Yeah.
Well, mind you, I work for a spiritual organization. I'm on staff at Unity on the Bay. And our senior minister, who is gay, married, has a child, will never endorse from the pulpit.
Never.
And we are but he will say, you vote. I encourage you to vote our values.
And I need to say, I don't mean all religion is bad. I mean, we're right here at Sunshine Cathedral. They could not be more liberal and open and loving and supportive of our community.
But in general,
and if you look at the state of Florida and you look at the state of Texas and you look at who's running them and you see, like in their Bible Belt, that's what they're preaching. They're preaching things they don't know, and that they're creating a fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that whole multiplies into where we end up with this.
Unknown. That's what fuels it all. And, you know, some people may disagree, but I truly feel that white power, white privilege has a lot to do with this, because it does tie into the whole good old boy syndrome, which we've seen for way too long. And I feel like it reminds me of rats on a sinking ship. And when they sense the ship is going down, they fight to survive. And with white privilege, I feel that these people in Texas, especially in Arlington City Council, they can sense that their ship of values is going down, because we people like us are speaking up, and we are gaining ground and we're gaining power, and it threatens the hell out of them.
Yep.
And then you've got someone like Trump, who supports them and starts doing
Yes.
legislation and, presidential change, whatever they call it, is constantly signing off new laws or new restrictions or executive orders and stuff.
Which are really not even.
And no one is putting up a fight.
Right.
No.
They don't,
Because he owns the Republican Party is up his butt.
And as long as they still remain in charge, it makes it harder for us to gain anything. And this election, this midterms, is going to be an interesting study in how they redistrict and everything else and where we end up.
You said it, Glenn.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the
Praise
Lord.
the Lord.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm FayWhat, and let's queer up politics. Leaked chats expose young Republicans' racism and Hitler worship. Queers react to GOP hypocrisy. In a stunning Politico expose, leaked private chats among rising young Republican leaders have revealed a toxic culture of racism, homophobia, and open admiration for Hitler. Messages that many LGBTQ viewers are calling proof of the party's moral rot. The Restore YR War Room chat, containing more than 28,000 messages, included GOP operatives from New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. According to Politico, participants included Bobby Walker, vice chair of the New York State Young Republicans, William Hendricks, vice chair of the Kansas Young Republicans, and Peter Gianta, then chair of New York's Young Republicans, who also works as chief of staff to a state assembly member. They talked about, quote, putting voters in gas chambers. Gianta said, everyone who votes no is going to the gas chamber. Great. I love Hitler, end quote. Attorney Joe Maligno replied, quote, can we fix the showers? Gas chambers don't fit the Hitler aesthetic, end quote. National Committee woman Annie K. Katie added, quote, I'm ready to watch people burn now, end quote. Politico reports that Gianta later apologized while others lost jobs or faced backlash. LGBTQ advocates note the hypocrisy of it all. Public condemnation of hate speech, yet private glorification of cruelty? For queer Americans long targeted by GOP policies, these leaks confirm what many have warned. Behind calls for free speech and family values, the messages show an undercurrent of hate. The Young Republican National Federation called for immediate resignations of the individuals involved in the chat. Quote, we are appalled by the vile and inexcusable language revealed in the Politico article published today. Such behavior is disgraceful, unbecoming of any Republican, and stands in direct opposition to the values our movement represents, end quote.
Take it away, Faye.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Racism, homophobia, Hitler praise. This political leak exposes what really is lurking behind family values. For years, queer Americans have warned that hate isn't just policy, it's culture, and you're seeing it right now. The GOP can issue statements all day long, but until they root out the rot that they're talking about, their words, all right, hate doesn't hide behind a group chat anymore. We see you completely. And I really, I'm blown away by what these folks are talking about in their own time, to other people. Again, convicts don't trust other convicts for a reason, right? You should not be trusting each other with this kind of stuff because it's going to be leaked somewhere. And I'm so glad that it was.
Hello. Yeah. I mean, it's so beyond the pale. It's beyond imagination. And how you even read the quote that they came up from the Republicans saying, this is not what we, this is not what we stand for. But
this is
really,
not what we represent. This is exactly what you represent.
No, yeah, this is exactly who you are.
And you wouldn't have done a thing until this came out in the public.
Got caught.
They got caught.
Yeah,
exactly.
So some people got reprimanded and sent away because it looks good politically. And first of all, how old do you have to be a young Republican? Because they didn't exactly look like they were still being spoon-fed.
Right.
No, they didn't. They didn't. All those young Republicans should probably get off the group chat and go find some Ozempic. That's from FayWhat right there for your ass, all right? Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it.
I'm not surprised. I mean, if anybody is surprised, I'm surprised at that because, if they walk like a duck, for all these years, and if they quack like a duck, why are you going to be surprised when you go into a chat room and it smells like duck shit? Okay? So I'm not surprised. It doesn't surprise me. I suspected this all along.
Okay, but something like that, when it comes to Hitler, when it comes to what happened to the Jewish people, you don't mess with that.
And the gays.
Especially where we're at right now. Like, how do you even touch that?
The pink triangle.
I mean, you don't. I'm getting chills because you don't go there. You never go there.
But no, it's really. I mean, look at what has been going on in this country now for several years. With where was in Virginia the play with they were Jews won't replace us and all this. So the Republican Party, this is what it's become. They may try to pretend it's fringe, but it's a very loud and long.
We've been
showy
talking
fringe.
a lot over the last couple of years of what's going on right now is not much different than Hitler's playbook.
Yeah, and
they're marching each other against each other, create division. Create an enemy that you can blame all of your misfortunes on. And then they've been doing this across the board. This just happens to say it out loud.
Yeah.
But they've been saying it out loud and privately. And, what our friend from Tesla with his little,
the Nazi salute.
The Nazi salute, which I won't do here.
Thank you.
Because my mother broke both my arms and who knows
literally.
who else. Literally.
Yeah,
and your sister.
Yeah. Oh, definitely my sister. Yeah, it's just this should not, as you said, Kevin, should not come as a surprise to anybody.
No. Yeah, because the party has been fueling it because it's been coming from it's coming from the top.
Yep. So all those old Republicans, all of you should be fired and let go from whatever job that you're holding right now.
Yeah, and any outrage we have is not making a change. That's the part that bothers me the most.
Because
and I don't know what we need to do that.
Nobody in the party is standing up, and I mean that quote, as I said, that was BS. I mean, they're standing behind it. They're probably thrilled.
Yeah, they don't care. They're not going to do anything about it. It'll be done.
No,
who's ever been slapped on the wrist has been slapped on the wrist, and it's over.
Because what's his name? Charlie Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he got a Medal of Honor from the
Medal of
Freedom.
The Medal of Freedom, yeah.
And he is one who also
in that chat room.
Right. He's one of those that also says it's okay to kill Jews and gay people, and he supported Hitler.
Yes.
So
and they're honoring him like he's like the saint.
That's my point. So if we look at this one story, but if we look at what's going on and what just happened with Kirk, there's it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. As a nonprofit LGBTQ media organization, we would like to thank our viewers for supporting our mission to tell the stories of the queer community. We'd also like to thank the generous support of Jets Pizza. Jets is the LGBTQ community's most popular pizza in South Florida.
Take a look around these streets. Do you really think we woke up one day and said, yeah, the world needs more pizza? Nah, just a better one. Better, like the world's best pizza, Jets Detroit-style pizza. Hand-pressed and baked to the thickest, crispiest crunch. You're welcome. Now visit jetspizza.com and save. Click on hot deals for special offers in your area. Jets, better because it has to be.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Miss Florida FI celebrates 53 years of pageant pride. Registration is now open for the 2025 Miss Florida FI Pageant, the social event of the season. On November 10th, 2025, the legendary celebration of pageantry and performance marks its 53rd anniversary, honoring Miss Florida FI, Miss Florida FI at Large, Miss Florida FI Supreme, and Mr. Florida ME. 4 pageants, 4 winners, 1 night. Doors open at 6 p.m. with competitions beginning at 7. The event will take place at the Crystal Ballroom at the venue. More details are at MissFloridaFIPageant.com. 53 years and counting. Gary Santis, Scott Holland, Allison Thomas, all you folks over there are just so incredible in all that you do, and you continue to lead the way and inspire us. 53rd anniversary. I can't believe it.
I cannot believe it.
I can't believe it, and I can't wait to be there in person.
And who is going to be one of the judges at the pageant?
Me!
Hello.
And this is one of the few pageants that Donald Trump doesn't own.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. The LGBTQ plus soap moments that changed daytime TV. Over the past 20 years, soap operas have transformed from conservative staples into vibrant showcases of LGBTQ plus storytelling, from Coronation Street's Steamy Shocker When Carl Sleeps with James To The Young and Restless, proudly featuring Fenn as openly gay, queer stories are now central to the genre. General Hospital gave us Lucas's new beau, Sidwell's son. Emmerdale warmed hearts when elderly Mary came out to Kim. The Bold and the Beautiful broke barriers as Maya came out as trans, and Neighbors moved viewers when David died as a hero. Even Carla fell for Lisa in Coronation Street. Wow. I just can honestly say that I have not watched soap operas in a really long time.
Shocker.
Because life is a big ass soap opera enough, I gotta tell you. I mean,
You know what the sad part of this whole thing is that Ricky
What?
Martin was in General Hospital and at the time was with long hair. He had a long wavy hair and he was making out with women.
but now he's really, really out in Palm Royale, which is
Exactly.
fabulous.
Which is fabulous.
No, which is fabulous. So I'm saying I wish he had been out when my grandmother was watching it.
It's okay. He's way out now.
Now,
Right.
now, being the only Gen Z on the panel, I just have a question. What's daytime TV?
All right.
Wow.
You must be removed immediately.
Hi! And a big shout out going on to Congressman Martin Richmond and his husband Smitty in Beyond the Gates. Because that's what I'm watching right now. And it's everything. A black family in the
good?
White House.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Oh, I gotta watch it.
Everything.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up lesbian and queer women. Viral Wāhine Toa firefighter calendar brings the heat and the heart. More move over shirtless firemen. New Zealand's women firefighters are lighting up Instagram. A teaser from @NZ Women's Firefighter Calendar set to Taylor Swift's Opalite shows fierce, confident women posing in partial gear for the upcoming Wāhine Toa firefighter calendar. The video's already hit 400,000 likes, sparking comments like, quote, "I never got the concept of firefighters calendars until this moment, TBH," end quote. Beyond the thirst, it's all for a cause, raising funds for breast cancer research. And yes, fans everywhere are asking, will it ship internationally? I like this. I like this story. It's very unique. I like the fact that we've got some Kiwi women. They're gorgeous. I went online. I was looking this up on Instagram. I like the fact that there's these thick women. They look like they play rugby. They're super sexy, lipstick lesbians. They're beautiful tattoos. I love a tattoo. And I just think it's amazing. It's for breast cancer research, so I'm all about research, you know. And what do you guys think about this story?
I want to know if you have a tattoo, being you're all about tattoos.
No, I don't, but I did have piercings at one point. Does that count?
No, it does not count.
That's our next
So
topic.
I'm also chasing a calendar, and it's a Irish farmers all male calendar, mostly shirtless.
Can we go back? Can we go back to the story? Can we go back to the
Yes.
story?
Yes. All right.
1 minute news.
Let's go back to Wāhine Toa. All right. Okay.
I
Wāhine
love
Toa.
this.
Yes, mama. And you can put out my fire anytime. Okay. Like Kevin said, those women were beautiful,
They were
gorgeous. And yes, a tattoo right there. You know where. You know where.
Faye,
You know
we need a
where.
queer news calendar.
No.
Have you seen the rest of
you
the
seen
anchors
all of
that
it?
we have?
But I have
No.
faith.
You
No.
do have faith.
LGBTQ 1 minute news. Let's queer up gay culture. YouTubers Dan and Phil finally confirm we've been boyfriends for over a decade. YouTube icons Dan Howell and Phil Lester have officially confirmed what fans long suspected. They've been boyfriends for over a decade. In a video posted Sunday, Howell opened with, quote, "All right, let's get this over with. Are Dan and Phil in a relationship?" End quote. Lester replied, "Yes." The pair then shared they've been together since 2009, explaining their choice to stay private. Howell said, "In my mid-20s, I felt we had to hide the relationship because I was still hiding who I was. Now, with music in the background, they plan to keep creating together." This is an awesome story. I never really followed them before, but I've learned so much about them in the last couple of days. This duo out there creating content, being, now doing movies, just being themselves and having grown the relationship and, saying it at their own time in their own way when they were ready.
And now they're in their 30s. So it's like a whole, I think kudos and props to them. And they started out doing, when they were doing their channel in 2011, they were doing shows about paranormal events and activities. And then they found this kind of niche and this kind of audience. And then, like, I think it was about 2015, they started doing some kind of arts and craftsy kind of thing. So I just love the exploration and the creativity. I think it's fabulous.
I'm levitating the table right now.
Way more than one or two sentences, folks.
Yes, it was.
So, Dan and Phil, it's been 10 years. What are you waiting for? Get married. LGBTQ 1 Minute News, let's queer up gay culture. Gen Z redefines love from quiet dumping to monkey barring. A new kind of connection emerges. Gen Z is rewriting the rules of romance with new trends. Born between 1997 and 2012, this generation prioritizes authenticity, mental health, and inclusivity, especially in the LGBTQ plus circles. Trends like quiet dumping involve slowly withdrawing instead of breaking up directly, while date them till you hate them means staying together out of comfort or fear of loneliness. Monkey barring describes overlapping emotional ties before letting go of the old one. For LGBTQ plus daters who often navigate smaller, more complex dating pools, these patterns reveal both caution and courage. Ultimately, Gen Z's openness about boundaries and fluid relationships signals a deeper desire for honesty and real connection. Well, Gen Z are trailblazers and everything. Why not take their romantic insights and advice and use it? Might help.
And as somebody who's not a Gen Zer but loves people much younger than him when he dates them, this explains a lot of the behavior I've been finding of the slowly just not talking to you anymore or all that kind of stuff. This has been a great moment for me.
It's called having a conversation. Let's be adults and let's be authentic. If they're so authentic, then let's have a conversation, right?
And quiet dumping, isn't there a pill for that?
Colace.
Oh God, that is a 1 minute LGBTQ story for today. There is no other quiet dumping.
No, right?
Those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. And these anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ plus community.
If our community is important to you, share the news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your lead anchor, FayWhat, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the incredible anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Dale Stine, Kevin Lee, and Glen Weinzimer. Thank you for staying with us, Glenn. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. To our LGBTQ plus world, we hope that you will join us by embracing love, generosity, bravery, by being transformative, and, of course, being queer. Good night.
Good night.
Ciao.